Welcome, Dr. Alison J.K. It's nice
Hi,
to have you here.
Grace. I'm excited to see where we go in this conversation. I'm glad to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you here as well. How do you define self-awareness in the context of energy medicine, and why is it the foundation for true transformation?
So, I had on my mastermind call last night. This is my most advanced program where those in that program get trained to do a version of what I do as vibrational upgrade practitioners. And one of the women on the call last night started to talk about realizing that she had a work offer come in, and she heard her mind say at first, I don't want to do this, I don't like this person, I don't like what they're asking me to do. And then because of the work she's done with me, the increased detachment from her thinking mind, which in Buddhist meditation is called the ego mind. That's where the thoughts that we hear are located, the ego mind. It's the frontal lobe. So that's only about 15% of what the stats say we make our daily choices from. And the stats say 85% of our daily choices are made from the parts of our mind whose thoughts and beliefs we don't hear. From all the decades of this work with the tens of thousands of people I've worked with, I think it's more like 95% of all of our daily choices that create our life are made from parts of us that we don't even hear the beliefs. So we're only hearing a fraction of what we believe and think for the self-talk we do hear. So the work that I do with the energy medicine increases the effects, the benefits of meditation. So there's more detachment and more spaciousness to observe your thoughts and ultimately choose your thoughts. So now we're working with neuroplasticity to develop new thought patterns. So she, in this process, became aware that she had to manage herself and question her thoughts with that detached capital O observer saying, wait a minute, don't you want money? That's what you say you want. You want to live in more abundance. Why are you saying no to this person and no to this possibility even though you don't want to do it? So I know I had a certain tone there, but it was like her disciplining her ego mind, because the ego mind has, my first signature talk was called The Nature of the Mind. All of our minds work the same way to a certain degree. So it criticizes, it pushes, it doesn't like the new, it resists change, because its job is to help us navigate the physical plane amidst all the metaphysical data that's actually happening in and around us. So and a good example is the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, that we say from the old movie Wizard of Oz. So what the ego mind does is when we're facing the jungle, the unknown, something new, it goes automatically into the question of, okay, this is new. Do I need to fight or do I need to go into flight? Because it's unknown. So part of its job is to protect us against the unknown. So inherent to that is resistance to change. So there will be thoughts that automatically pump out in every one of our minds when we're looking at change that resist it. So she knows enough, has enough self-awareness cultivated from the work we've done together, and has enough detachment from all of the energy medicine, the light, the clearings, the activations, the energy that's been infused into her, that allows her to be able to question her thoughts and then redirect it and make more conscious choices, which is the overall goal. So self-awareness encompasses all of that.
Thank you so much. So in essence, we shouldn't respond to the trauma responses, but instead redirect our thought patterns into a more positive way.
Yeah, well, I don't know that that was trauma that caused her to be resistant. I think it's more the nature of the mind. Trauma is a different thing. Like, we can't go and deal with trauma when we're in the midst of being traumatized. It's not our conscious mind that I just was talking about that fields it. Because it's traumatizing, the sheer energy of it has to go into the subconscious.
Yes.
Okay. So the work that I do goes into the subconscious and the unconscious as well as the conscious mind. And that naturally, with the way the science of the subtle energy system works with the different levels of the mind, I'm combining Western and Eastern now. Trauma gets deposited not only in what I call the back of the house consciousness, the subconscious, but then it correlates to the relevant chakra. The chakras are covering all domains of life. Each one has a certain area. So if you had sexual abuse when you were growing up, then one of the trauma goes in the back of the house consciousness, and one of the what's called free-floating thoughts or conclusions that the mind makes, not consciously, as a result of that trauma, to protect us from that trauma happening again is, oh, so I got sexually abused. It must be something wrong that I'm doing. Let me cover up and hide so it doesn't happen again. So later in life, what that person is what that pattern might become with that subconscious and then the unconscious safety conclusion is they might dress down. And if they start their own business, they may have a hard time letting themselves be seen out on social media or out on podcast interviews or out on YouTube because they're unconsciously choosing to hide so that they don't get hurt again.
Thank you so much for that explanation. That's quite explicit. Thank you. So that leads me to my next question. What are the first signs that someone is disconnected from their own energy or inner truth?
Really focused on what everybody else thinks of them. Really focused on needing approval.
External validation?
Yeah.
Okay.
And making choices that leave the person, this is going to sound really strange at first, possibly, that leave the person even more in their head. Because when you're making a choice that is actually from your higher self, and the word in Sanskrit yoga means, to translate it to English, to yoke with, and the inference there is to yoke with the divine. So above our crown chakra, the top of our head, that's where we start to connect with our intuitive guidance, our higher self, and then there's chakras of a 12 chakra system even above that, traditional 7 chakra system. This is all yogic culture. Every yoga pose you do, if you go do any yoga, all the yoga poses are designed to open up a chakra. That's why when you leave yoga class, you feel so much more relaxed because there's more energy flowing and you're more open. There's 8 limbs to yoga. Only one of them is about the body postures. 5 of the 8 limbs to yoga are about working with your mind and all the levels of consciousness. That having been said, if you have a trauma you were sexually abused, it's going to get deposited down into the relevant chakra, which in part is the sacral chakra, in part it's the root chakra, and then there's probably the third and the heart. All of them are related with sexual abuse because it's so prolific with its effects. So if you're avoiding your body because you haven't done any deep clearing work, I'm not talking about mindset work, I'm not talking about the superficial stuff that's out there as a part of the spiritual industry that it's become nowadays. I'm talking about if you go deeper and actually work with someone who can get to that level of depth, then you're working with releasing your body from holding the traumas, and then you'll drop down out of your head. So an indication of somebody being out of alignment or out of their center or out of their truth is they're very much in their head, or they're even hovering above their body, not even in their body, and they're very maybe overly intellectual or overly spiritual. And when they're making choices, it's very habitual choices. So that might have been what they learned, and they're just kind of repeating what they learned growing up. It's an unraveling to get to our true self.
Okay. Thank you. What do you think, listeners and viewers? Please leave your comments as relates to this newsreel.